Now that you have a better idea of navigating around the Develop module, we can start working on the Adjustments panels. We'll start with the histogram. We've worked with the histogram a bit before. We know that it contains a graphical representation of the different color ranges within a composition, the darker range of colors on the left and the lighter range of colors on the right. We know that any overexposed areas will show up on our histogram as pure white, whereas underexposed areas will show up as pure black. One of our goals in photo adjustments is to eliminate as much under and overexposure as we can. Sometimes there's enough metadata stored in the image to recover lost detail. The histogram in the Develop module has some unique features that allow us to easily detect the under and overexposed areas of an image. For the purpose of this lecture, we'll need to load image WA001.jpg in our Develop area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these filters that we created. So hold the Command key and just click these items again. And that's going to make all our images accessible in the thumbnail scroller again. Now go back to the library, click Text. Under File Name, type in WA001.jpg. So that's an easy way of locating a specific image. Now go ahead and double click this image and just load it in the Develop module by clicking Develop. The reason we loaded this image is because it contains some over and underexposed areas that we can repair. The histogram in the Develop module has two arrows at the left and right side. If clicked, the left arrow will highlight all the underexposed areas. You can see that in blue over here. There's not many, so I'll click off and click on, and you can see these little blue areas here. Now I'll click the right arrow, and we can see that there's quite a bit of overexposed areas. Now underexposure sometimes is used for artistic effect, but overexposure is something you certainly want to avoid. Keep in mind that if you were to print an image with many areas that are overexposed like this and highlighted in red, those areas wouldn't print a color at all. That would mean that the color of the print medium would come through the image. And we try to avoid that as much as possible. The under and overexposed areas in an image are known as clipping. If you don't see any arrows on your histogram, just right click over here and place a check mark next to Show Clipping Indicators. Since we now have both arrows clicked, let's expand the Basic Adjustments panel to bring up some important options. So make sure you have the Basic panel here expanded, and if you don't see it, right click on any panel heading and just make sure you have a check mark next to each one of these panels. We're going to be working with all of them. So in the Basic panel, you'll see two important sliders, whites and blacks, and that's our area of focus right now. Watch what happens when we slide the whites slider to the right. You'll notice our red highlighted areas expands. This is because adding white increases the overexposed areas. The same will happen with the blue highlighted regions if we move the black slider to the left. As we do that, we're increasing the amount of underexposure. Since the goal here is to eliminate these highlighted regions, let's go ahead and adjust the amount of black and white sliders until over and underexposure has been minimized or eliminated. So you'll notice that we have eliminated some of the overexposure and also some of the underexposure. Now, since we weren't able to eliminate all the overexposed areas by only targeting white, we may need to shift our entire histogram to the left. We can do this by either dragging our histogram to the left. So I'll hold my left mouse button down, and I'm going to drag the histogram to the left. And as I do, you'll notice that the overexposed areas completely disappear. Now you don't want to do it too much, otherwise you might start affecting other colors in the image, and we're only trying to target the very overexposed areas. If you didn't like dragging the entire histogram to the left, another way to do it is to use the highlight slider. Okay, it has the same effect. So you can see that the overexposed areas are now completely eliminated. Now for the underexposed areas, you could do the same thing. You can take the blacks in the histogram and slide it over to the right. Now I don't have much leeway here. It looks like some of the underexposed areas, there's just not enough data in the image to recover any detail there. So what ends up happening is that the underexposed areas remain, and then you're just affecting a bunch of other colors in the image, and that's not what we want to do. So I'm just going to leave that alone. There's only a little bit, and it's just not worth shifting other colors to eliminate that small area over there. Now once you've completed that, you can press the J key on your keyboard, and that'll remove those highlighted areas that Lightroom put in there for us to assist us with the removal of the under and overexposed areas. So again, that's the J key. Now we can do a comparison of our before and after. So I'll do a left-right split. And you can see that for the most part, the color ranges are almost identical, barely noticeable at all. And we were able to get rid of the underexposed areas. So just switch back to loop view.